Hello and welcome back to Unikron's Gaming. Today I'm going to be doing a video about OutRun 2006 Coast to Coast from the perspective of a Ridge Racer fanboy. So this is my second out of 3 videos I'm going to do. The first one was Daytona USA. I wasn't really a fan of the home version of Daytona USA, the PS3 version. The handling just wasn't what how do I say this? The handling wasn't to my personal liking. I know people love that game, see it as a darling or some sort of treasure, but for me, I'm sure if I played Daytona 2, I'd find it much more enjoyable than the first one. The first one was just a bit too finicky for my liking. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But anyway, this video is about OutRun 2 Coast to Coast 2006. Can we just say OutRun Coast to Coast rather than this is a long-winded title? Yeah, anyway, so this is my perspective, strictly coming from Ridge Racer. I am a fanboy, so some of the stuff I say you can take it with a pinch of salt or not, but this is just where I'm coming from because of the versions of games I like. I'm the other side. I am the Namco side of things, so we can say Rave Racer on the arcade, and I think it was a GP1 game or IndyCar racing game on the arcade as well. You can say Ridge Racer 2 arcade. You can say most of the home versions of Ridge Racer apart from Rage Racer. Didn't like that one at all. But yeah, and I didn't really play the DS versions either. Anyway, let's talk about a bit of history about OutRun 2006 Coast to Coast. So Coast to Coast it was released in Japan, and it's a 2006 racing game. I think that's released worldwide in 2006, to be honest, not just Japan. I don't know, Wikipedia specifically saying that, or specifically I should say. The PS2 version was developed by Sumo Digital and published by Sega for home systems. It's the 9th title in the OutRun series and the final one to have a physical release. The game is an updated version of OutRun 2, which was in the arcade and I believe released on Xbox as well, and is split into 2 parts: a conversion of OutRun 2 SP, which itself includes the OutRun 2 levels, and Coast to Coast, which includes single player races and challenges and local network and internet multiplayer. This also goes for the PSP version, and the PS3 version, well, that was just a 2009 release, I believe. It was only on the PlayStation Network and I believe Xbox Live. Yeah, and it was basically just one of the modes that was in the physical versions. That was it. It was really cut down, hardly anything to it. But yeah, so I'll be looking at the PSP version, PS2 and the PS3 version. So just quickly, I'm going to talk about the 3 versions that I own. This is the first one, the PSP. I've actually bought this twice. I initially bought it back in the day to have it on the go, OutRun on the go. And I took it back the same day. I believe it was Game, because back then Game, if you took the game back within 7 days, you got a full refund. And obviously we used to try and abuse that and try and beat the games within a week and take it back and get your full refund, because, you know, poor students. But this game I took it back after a day because this is the first time I really understood that 30 frames per second was not good for a racing game. This is the game that taught this to me. I was just like, I mean, I don't know if motion blur would have helped, but I was just like, no, this doesn't play as good as the PS2 version. Even though it linked up, it just wasn't really for me. But I bought it again, you know, later on, years and years later. In fact, I bought it back 3 years ago. Just because, you know, it's OutRun, why not? So yeah, this is the PSP version here. This is my PS2 version, running on my PS2. I've had this for the longest time. I never really got into it. You know, it's not Ridge Racer. And at that time I was really heavily into Ridge Racer and the Burnout games, all the PS2 versions. But my friends Chalster and the Jazz Father, they love this game. Maybe not the PS2 version, because I think Chalster loves it. He loved it on his Xbox and on the PC. And Jazz Father, he just loves this game. So yeah, this is the PS2 version here. Incidentally, I will say that I still reckon this game looks good, and you can actually play it in widescreen. The only reason why I didn't put it in widescreen for this video is because the speedometer, it goes into like an oval egg shape. It doesn't keep the same ratio, so something's a bit wonky there when you put it into widescreen. If it wasn't for that, I'd have put it in widescreen because it looks nicer in my opinion. But I just don't like the fact that the speedo is not round, it's oval. So something a bit wonky there. And obviously this is the PlayStation 3 version running on my PlayStation 3. I initially got this because, you know, Jazz 5 and Chelsea, at the time they had this on their PS3s respectively. I think before Chelsea got rid of his PS3, and we could play online for free, and it was cool. So yeah, this is the PS3 version. Obviously it looks nicer because of the higher resolution updated graphics, and in widescreen the speedo is the correct aspect ratio. It's still round and not oval like if you change that in the PS2 version. So yeah, these are the three versions I have. I must be looking at the PS2 and PS3 version. In fact, I won't even be touching the PSP version again for the sake of this particular video. I should have looked at the name of this. Is it the Ferrari GTO? Whatever it is. As far as I'm concerned, this is the Magnum P.I Ferrari. I wanted to use this Ferrari for the whole video, but it's not as fast as my favorite one in the game, which is the Enzo, and I think Enzo just looks nicer. But because of Magnum P.I, the TV show, and I'm from that era, I wanted to use this particular Ferrari. Even in black it looks sexy, but it's not as fast as the Enzo, so I didn't use it for this video. So yeah, just look at that Ferrari, it's such a classic shape. Alright, anyway, back on with the video. Here we go. Okay, so the whole point of this was to see what I think of OutRun coming from Ridge Racer, and I couldn't decide which version of OutRun I wanted to play, so I did both. I did the PS2 version first, and then I did the PS3 version. So I've got three runs here. Two of them are going to be the same, because one of them is PS2, which is this version here. As you can see, it's 4:3. The lighting isn't as good. The graphics aren't in HD, obviously they're in SD, but still the game to me plays fine. So yeah, this is my run with the Enzo, because I do love the Enzo Ferrari. I believe it's named after the guy who started up Ferrari himself. His Italian guy's name was Enzo. So yeah, this is probably my favorite Ferrari, and I'm gonna say this. Okay, first things first, even though the car selection is all Ferraris and there's not that many of them, there's enough there. It is easily enough there. If you're talking about the physical versions of the game, the PS2 version, the PSP, the Xbox version, there's easily enough content in here. If you're just talking about PS3 version and Xbox 360, obviously just a slimmed down version, but the price, from what I remember, reflected that. So it wasn't priced as a full price game. I believe it's priced as maybe £11, if that, or something like that. And if he was playing the PS3 version, the online was free. I'm going to assume, because of the era it was in, that the Xbox Live version probably had better online stability, but who knows? I never ever played this game via Xbox Live, only via PS3, but it played perfectly fine. Graphically, OutRun 2 Coast to Coast is wonderful. I don't really have any negatives to say for its time period. It is just colourful, it's bright. There's not really any breakup in the game as such. There's a little bit of slowdown here and there, but that's more to do with gameplay than graphics. But what a wide variety of scenery depending on which way you go, so that's cool. The cars on the track look nice. The Ferraris look wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, the scenery is cool. The roads as well that you're driving on, they're not just tarmac roads. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's more bit of dirt on the side, sometimes it's grass on the side, sometimes it's sand. So that's cool. Smoke effects from tires, as you can see. It really is nice. Sometimes there's nods to other games, because at one point I see a dragon in the sky. I swear it's something to do with Panzer Dragoon. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. So yeah, it's just a really, really good looking racing game, and personally I think it holds up well. It's very iconic. It really, oh god, that was terrible. That was terrible. Damn, no wonder she told me off. It really does show what Sega can do. I don't know if this was what model board this was. I'm assuming it's Model 2 board. I'm just going to assume, I don't know. If it could be Model 3, could have been anything, it could be Naomi for all I know. I just don't know. But when they Sega put their minds to it, they could make some really good arcade games, and that felt good as well. So yeah, graphically, I have no complaints. This is just a wonderful game. Vibrance, color, everything. From an audio point of view, the only negative I could probably say is that the engines all sound the same, even though they probably shouldn't. I'm damn sure all the Ferraris do not sound the same at all. That's the only negative. Apart from that, the tire screeching sounds great. And actually, you know, let me rephrase that. Even though the engine sounds should all be different, because they generally sound the same to me, they're still better than Ridge Racer 7. Those cars sound like weak lawnmowers. So yeah, they sound better than Ridge Racer 7. The tire screeching sounds great. The little bits of audio, like when you're going in and out tunnels, the difference in the audio and stuff like that, that sounds cool. Going past other cars, the rushing, the wind, all sounds great. The music is fine. I would say fantastic, but there's not enough to choose from. I'd like more remixes in the free packages that I own, but it's absolutely fine. The tracks out there are great. There's nothing wrong with them at all. So yeah, audio, I don't have too much to say, but that's simply because there's nothing wrong with the audio. There's only one nitpicky thing I can even think of, and that was it. I already said it. Right, so here you can see I'm going to do the same run, but this time on the PS3, so you can see the difference. Obviously the Enzo is now red. And while I'm doing this run, we might as well just talk about the gameplay. The gameplay, I prefer this so much more than I do Daytona USA. So much more. The handling seems more refined. In these home versions, you can actually have the choice to use a D-pad if you want to for your steering. I don't think as standard the D-pad is as good as the analog stick controls for this particular game. In the control fig, you can change the sensitivity of the handling, and when you do that, the D-pad is very good and is easily a viable option. But I just stuck to the default and just used the analog stick because that was okay for me. But once again, if anyone, no, there's a dragon I was talking about before. If anyone does prefer D-pad, if you're that old school, you can use D-pad here. Just go into the control configurations and just put the sensitivity down a notch or two, and the D-pad will be absolutely fine. It won't do a hard lock. So yeah, but anyway, I used the analog stick for this because it was perfectly fine in this game. The cars do handle differently. The Magnum joint, I found that even though it's slower, it wouldn't kick out of drifts as well. I don't know, not as quick, but I just didn't know when to expect it. With this car, to me, just handled more like a Namco racing car, if you understand what I mean from a Ridge Racer point of view. I just felt I knew when the car was going to kick out, and for the most part it did. So yeah, it could get a little squirmy sometimes, but for the most part I could control the car, so that was fine. The roads sometimes seemed a little bit narrow for my liking, but hey, it was cool. There are 3 different views to choose from. To be honest, this is probably just the best for you to play, you know, old school behind the car, like the original OutRun. The bonnet and in-car view, unless you got steering wheel, I don't see the point in that for the home version. It's just too awkward. Like I said, unless you have an actual steering wheel to play with. The bonnet view, I thought would have been really good, but I just think you need to see more of the road. So this view is generally better, in my opinion here. So yeah, that's what I would say for the gameplay. Cars getting in your way, yeah, it's a racing game. They're supposed to do that. It's up to you to get around them however you want. And this was an arcade game that you're supposed to feed money into. So we have to remember that it is going to have that little bit of cheese, that little bit of teeth. It's going to cheat here and there, but hey, still, just avoided that spin out like I did on the PS2 version there. But no, it's the gameplay I think is pretty cool. The extra modes are nice as well. Like I said before, there's a little bit of slowdown with some of the effects. I noticed it in a little bit of the PS2 as well. It's less so with the PS3 version, but when it is raining and then you're skidding and the water's coming up, you can see it. I think it probably drops a few frames here or there, but not enough to deter you from playing. So yeah, that is basically the overall gameplay, I would say, with my opinions there. I mean, nothing negative to say. This game, all things considered, is a joy to play. I can see why it's held as a classic. As a Ridge Racer fanboy, I would say this game deserves its place as a classic, up there with the best Sega games. I'm not really a fan of the Sega rally joints. This is definitely better than the original Daytona, in my opinion. I don't know if it's better than Daytona 2. I can barely remember Scud Racer. I played Scud Racer in an arcade. It must have been 20 years ago at least. I can't remember if Scud Racer is... wait, was Scud Racer 20 years ago? Anyway, it was a long time. My brain's foggy and got cobwebs up there. I can't remember how good or how not good Scud Racer is, but memory tells me that this game is the best Sega racing game that I've played. So it sits on top of the pile. I wouldn't mind playing Daytona 2 though, to see which one is better at this and Daytona 2. Yeah, definitely wouldn't mind doing that. But I don't have Daytona 2. So, because I felt comfortable with the handling of the car, I thought, well, let me just go for all the rights and just go for the hardest possible course selections. So this is just my one and only run, and just choosing all right instead of left to right, left to right. I just thought, right, let's go for the E finish, because I think you can go A, B, C, D, E. So I thought, right, let's just go for E. Or is it D? I don't know. Whichever one's the furthest to the right. I thought, right, we'll do that in Enzo, choose it as yellow, and go from there. I will say, before doing this video, I probably only put like maybe between 3 and 5 hours into OutRun across all the versions. I didn't bother to play in the arcade because, you know, it was a Sega racing game. I was just like, okay. When I saw this game, it was only 2-player. I didn't see like I don't know, a 6-player or 8-player version of it. It was only 2-player, so I wasn't going to put £2 in the arcade just to play this. And yeah, so I didn't have many hours, but like I said, once I started playing this for this video, I thought, okay, the handling is not bad. It's alright. I can understand this. I get this game. So I thought, let me just choose this version. Well, not this version, but this particular course layout. Right. Where you get to do the choices. Obviously, left is easier than the right. I have to say, on these choices, the graphics for these background stages look really, really nice. They look really cool. Yeah, I I would have liked the Alps sections to be on the right as well, but I think on the last bit it was to the left. I think that was that the D finish, because I wanted the E finish. I didn't get to do it, but yeah, I didn't get to see the snowy bit, which would have been really nice to see. But that doesn't mean I can't play it again. But yeah, windy roads. I have to say, Sega done really well with this game, and I just repeat myself again, saying that I can really understand why people truly do like this game. Ouch, that was dirty. Oof, gosh, mistimed some of the slides there. Obviously, like I said, this is the first time I did play this route, so I don't know the course at all. All I do is know the handling of the car, and that's it. And unfortunately, because the graphics looks pretty cool, I found a lot of the times I caught myself looking at the graphics instead of paying attention to the course itself. I just wanted to have a look around. What I probably should have done is played it hard first and then watched my replay to look at the graphics. But at the time I was like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, look at that waterfall. And I would hit something. So yeah, I mean, look at the light coming through the trees. Really, really nice there. Good lord. And the waterfall again. Go underneath it. Really cool. I didn't even notice a rainbow before. That's nice. My god, the game's gorgeous. But yeah, like I said, I can see why this game holds up well. The next game I do want to play is Virtua Racing. I haven't played Virtua Racing before, so I have no idea what to expect. I don't even know which versions I'm going to play. Oh dear, that wasn't good. It's a lot of time wasted there. Yeah, I'm not too sure which versions of Virtua Racing I'm going to play. Probably to do the Switch. I believe that's the last version. And maybe if I can find the PS2 version somewhere. I think that's one of them Sega Ages thing. Yeah, I know it was on the Mega Drive, but I don't particularly want to play the game at like 20 or 15 frames per second, whatever it is on the Mega Drive. And I don't think I have access to the 32X version, and I think the Saturn versions. Wow, again, Saturn version. I don't think that doesn't play like the arcade, does it? Even though I know that the original arcade version is 30 frames per second. So that means that the Mega Drive version wasn't. Anyway, while we're talking about that here, this is about OutRun. I thought one of the courses from Scud Racer, or one of the bits from Scud Racer, was in this game. Or was it Daytona 2? Not too sure. I thought there was something from Scud Racer in here. Maybe I was just wrong. I just thought there was. And look, as you can see, my excellence here. First time trying it. Obviously, I made it with plenty of time to spare because I am that good. Unikronn is that good. I know you're all jealous. Yeah, because obviously, look, it should have been under 5 minutes, but I didn't do it. But yeah. And here's an ending. Chelsea told me you get different endings. I didn't even realize. Because, oh, is it? But yeah, the endings are slightly different. So I think I've seen one where he falls or something happens to him. Another one where he's hungry. And then I think it's this one. So yeah. So he's with the blonde chick in the blonde car. And this was the route that I took. Okay, I needed to go left there to see the Alps. Okay, next time. But not pretty good game. No, not pretty good. A really good game. I can see why Sega fans really love this. This is probably the best Sega Racer game, in my opinion. It's still not as good as most of the Ridge Racer games, but still really good. I prefer tracks to learn rather than just courses. But anyway, that's me. I'm out. See you next video. Peace.